Hey guys, how's it going? Getting back into doing some videos again after a break. Let's start by looking at this Modo Bass from IK Multimedia. I've got a little pattern thing that I did here with it over a basic drum beat. Let's check it out. Fantastic stuff, absolutely brilliant. I chose to do a funk thing because funk for me is the hardest thing to get sounding pretty authentic on a bass. And this instrument is absolutely out of this world. Now apparently the Modo Bass, and as I said it's from IK Multimedia, it's entirely modelled. There are no samples, and this is a huge step up from the typical kind of sample bass instruments you get in a sequencer like Logic, included for free. It's incredibly comprehensive, and let's check it out. So there are tabs, right, to this instrument, starting with the model tab here, where you've got your bass models, the playing style, strings, electronics, amp and effects, and finally a controller page, right? So let's start by looking at the basses, and again this is all modelled. So we start with a 60s precision. I'm playing you these all out of the box, so to speak. You can tweak them to your heart's content, but afterwards if you want to reset any bass back to its default, you just click this reset bass to default down here. And you'll notice there's a string playing area at the bottom showing which notes are being fretted by the notes that I've put in the patterns. And below that there's an area which we'll discuss later, right? So this is the 60s P bass. 70s precision bass. 70s jazz bass. Modern jazz bass. The Devil bass, which is like an SG with a single net pickup there. Fantastic deep buckety tone from this thing, it's brilliant. And the Fenders, they're just fantastic, the sound of those. Okay, next we've got a Music Man. Now note this is a 5-string, so an extra string appears here in the string area, showing you which strings are being fretted. And because it's a 5-string, the white area in the keys down the bottom shows the playing notes of range of the bass, right? So if I switch to this 70s jazz bass, that's the playing range. But switch to this 5-string, you'll see the bottom extends down by extra notes, right? And you get an extra 2 tones at the top. Okay, so 5-string. There's a Ricky. This thing called a studio bass. I recognise the shape, but I can't think what make it is. It's again a 5-string, so the key range, the white area here extends, and extra string appears here. Then there's this wonderful violin bass, really authentic sound. Absolutely great stuff. Then we've got an Explorer with its typical thick, meaty Explorer sound. If you've ever played in a band with a bassist who uses an Explorer, you'll know this one. Japan bass. We're into the final 4 basses. These are all modern instruments. I can't tell you what they are. Flame bass. Imperial bass, which is a 6-string. more strings appear, greater key range down the bottom here, of course. And finally this metal bass, which kind of looks like a Kiesel. Oh, I don't know. Again, it's a, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 5 string. Extra key range, extra string appears in the display here. So there's all your basic basses. I'm particularly in love with the Devil bass. This great sound, the violin bass, this Explorer, the Ricky, you know, but the 3 Fenders at the beginning, oh, they're just sublime, absolutely sublime. Listen to the woodiness of that. That's like straight out of the Isley Brothers, although he did tend to play a jazz. And this one has that sort of, the woody tone of these is just brilliant. So that's your basic choice of basses. So you choose a bass, and then we got the other tabs. Now we'll leave the play style till the end because we're just focusing on setting up the instrument, the options for that. You choose your basic bass, then you can go to choose the type of strings. Now I've chosen this jazz bass. It's a 4-string. If I want, I can add in an extra string, and an extra string appears here in the display, and the extra key range is brought in. I can even make it a 6-string. Again, greater key range comes in, and extra strings are visible in the display. Right, so whatever bass you choose, doesn't matter if it's a 4-string, it can have 5 or 6 strings. If you want, you can go with drop tuning as well. Bring that in and out, and you get an extra couple of semitones down the bottom of the key range there. Boom, 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 right? You can then adjust the action. Now, this doesn't have a huge effect with slap. You hear this more with finger style playing, but we'll get to the playing style in a bit, right? But you can have high action, low action, or standard action. Then the type of strings, round wound, which we've got now as default, or flat wound. The gauge of the strings, heavy, light, or medium. Now that does make a subtle difference. And then the age of the strings. You can have brand new ones. And by the way, I'm using quite a bit of palm muting here, so let me roll that off a bit. We'll come back to this playing area. So new strings. Broken in, they've been used but they're not old. And old. Which, that's brilliant, that's great. So I tend to use, I like the broken in. Okay, and then you can set the bass to a particular tuning. You know, it's 440 for A, but that can be adjusted. So you choose the bass model, strings, the amount of, type of strings, the action, gauge, how new the strings are, etc. Then we get to electronics, and it starts to get really even more interesting. This is again a Fender Jazz. There's its pickups in their standard configuration in terms of their distance from the bridge and their distance from the neck and each other. Bog stand out the box. Here are the 2 pickups. You can make any pickup active or not active. You have a volume control to, like on a real bass, to blend the amount of each pickup if you want, right? So you can simply just adjust the blend between the 2 pickups, or just have one on or the other one on. There's this piezo body pickup that can be brought in. Let me take both pickups off and bring this up and you'll hear it. Now you can use it on its own or blend it in with one or other of the pickups. you've got that addition there, right? Now you can configure the bass to use any pickups you want. Just drop the neck pickup, the bridge pickup selector down, and there is the choice of every single pickup from every bass in the collection to put at the bridge. And again, same with the neck. The neck pickup can be any of the bass pickups from any of the available basses. Mix and match to build your own, right? And then further to that, you can adjust the position of the pickups, whether you're using one or more, right? One or two. So you can really tune where your pickups are, what type of pickups, if both are being used, the blend between them, use just one, adjust its position, add in some piezo if you like, etc. Right? That's set to default. Now then, you've got your active or passive. When it's in passive, there's a straight tone control, as you'd expect. But switch to active, you've got bass, mid and treble. Okay, so there's all your electronics, supremely customizable. Okay, then we've got our amp and effects. There's a choice of 2 amps. You just click on the amp. It brings up the amp upper area. Choose the amp by selecting here, or just click on the amp to switch them like that. Right. So we got this tube amp, which gives you gain, bass, mid, a mid frequency selector like low, mid, up to high mid. Let's boost that mid up. So that's a higher mid. Down to a lower mid, right? And treble. There's a punch control, which I don't know what it does. Maybe brings in some sort of fixed compression or something. And a harmonic control. You're not hearing these do much with this slap style, but different playing styles that you can use with this instrument, these become more relevant. And then there's a blend between amp and DI. DI is, as you expect, more sort of overall tone, whereas amp is, as you expect, more deep and you can blend between those. And finally, the master output, leaving the plugin. Okay, if we switch to the solid state amp, we get gain, bass, mid, treble, and a graphic. There's a limiter you can bring in and out, and again there's the blend between amp and DI and the master. Then we have 4 pedal slots. Just click on a pedal and we bring up the pedal area here. There's your 4 slots. You choose a slot and it can be off or on. On, off, on, off, on, off. As you choose each pedal slot, you can drop down here and choose from any of 7 pedals. We've got an octaver, a distortion, a chorus, a compressor, a delay, an envelope filter, and a graphic EQ. So this is the graphic, you get the graphic. Okay, it's like a little, typical 10-band foot pedal. Octave, graphic. There's the compressor here. Let's look at the compressor. It's on at the moment, and you've got a compression amount. It's got a really nice release, this, which really complements the bass. It just, pumps really nicely, and a volume. All the pedals, when you choose them, they've got a gain or volume control, leaving the pedal going to the amp, right? Apart from the filter here. So yeah, there's the compressor. The octaver here is a particularly nice one. You've got blend, volume, and texture is how much bottom end growl you're getting. The envelope follower gives you all your Bootsy Collins juiciness. Is that octaver still on? No, we don't want that on. enveloper with frequency, depth, resonance. There's a choice of low pass, high pass and band pass. High pass. And band pass. Other things we've got a distortion with drive, that's the volume leaving the pedal, and tone. There is a chorus, a delay, feedback, time, dry and wet, and the graphic, which, just a standard 10-band octave graphic allowing you to isolate particular areas. Etc. Right, so there's your pedals. 4 pedals in total. You can put any pedal in the slots that you want, and they can be active or not active, and then whichever pedal you've got, you've still got your amp, DI blend and master here from the amp. Right. Choice of 2 amps, as I said, with their various controls. Brilliant stuff, right? And then finally we have this control tab that shows us our controller options. Then these are adjustable. So for example, the legato slide is set to CC65, which I think is portmanteau. That can be changed to 66, 64, whatever you like. Same with these trigger notes, which are controller notes that can bring in particular effects of the bass, such as bringing in harmonics here, which is set to F0. And these are all control notes down the bottom here in this pink area, right? And you can sort of just bring those control notes in under your pattern at wherever you like to make it, to force it to do a pull off on a particular note, or to force it to harmonics, or bring in ghost mode, or whatever you like, these different things. And you can switch between playing styles within your pattern on the fly as well. Right, so this lower area below the white key area, the range of the bass, these are control notes that you can bring in and out in a pattern. Okay, and at the top of this area there's a slide range and a vibrato rate. Okay, so look, let's look at this playing style now. So you choose your bass, the strings, type of electronics, pickups where they are, etc, etc, amp, pedals, and then you've got your playing style. Now I'm set in slap mode. Set it to default. Go back to my amp. What have I done? I've got the compressor on. Graphic was still on. Okay, yeah, so playing style. I've got it set to slap. Now when it's in slap mode, we get this threshold control. If I go to finger mode, that disappears. Same with pick mode. In slap mode, we get a threshold control here. Okay, and that adjusts the threshold above which, in terms of velocity, notes will do a hard pull off rather than a thumb hit. So if I turn that right down, I'll get all thumb hits. I mean, I'll get all pull offs. Bring this up and I should get all thumb downs. So this is my threshold set there. So the louder velocity notes get a pull off and the lower ones get a thumb hit. There's an auto control here for the stroke. There's a stroke control with auto, slap, which means it's always going to, so this is the stroke. You get that for finger and for pick. In slap, you're either doing all thumb slaps, all pull-offs for every note, regardless of velocity, or auto, in which case the threshold control appears. Set that above the threshold you set. Louder velocity notes will get a hard pull-off, otherwise there'll be a thumb hit, right? And then there's a muting control. With that down, I'm not palm muting at all. And I can palm mute as much as I want. Okay, if I go with fingerstyle, now I don't get the threshold anymore, which I get if I put my stroke here for slap playing to auto. In finger mode, this changes to the type of touch: soft, normal, or hard. Soft, normal. You've got the stroke, alternate, index finger or middle finger, and again the muting's there to palm mute. In pick mode, this box here becomes scratch. How much you hear the pick, hard or normal. Take the muting off, or hard. There's more scratch noise from the pick. And again, you've got stroke, down strokes only, up strokes only, or alternate, dung 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 dung, up down strokes. Okay. Now these three modes, as I select slap, notice these are the controller keys below the bass's playing range, where you can put notes in to make the bass switch to do different things. When it's set to slap, this note becomes orange there. Pick, that note becomes orange. Fingerstyle, that note becomes orange. So you can put those notes in here under any part of the pattern and switch between slap, pick and fingerstyle on the fly in a pattern for any notes or individual notes. Okay, which makes it even more versatile, even more flexible. You can have little fingered bits, and then dick 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 dick, dick 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 dick. You know what I mean? Very good stuff. Yeah, there's another thing. Where are we? In pick or finger mode, you can adjust where your hand is to play the bass. Right down at the bridge there, or higher up at the neck. Anyway you like. Same with pick, picking down at the bridge, or right up at the neck, and anywhere you like in between. You don't get that for slap. Okay. Okay, then finally we've got this detach noise, and that's like you hear a little click as the finger lifts off the string at the end of each note. Hear that? You can hear it now, right? Little ick, ick, ick as you lift the string off. Or detach noise down. Much cleaner. And there's a slide noise that comes in if you're doing a note slide. You get more fizz to the slide, or you hear the finger slide. You hear the note slide, but you hear that finger noise less or more with this slide noise, right? So I sort of tend to have that around the default area about halfway. So for example, look, if we look at these control notes for finger, pick and slap, we'll just go with finger and slap and alternate between the two. So for example, if we look at the controller options, right, I'm going to be in slap by default. So that orange note down there is lit, right? Go to control. Slap mode is A sharp 0 by default. Pick mode, G sharp 0. Finger mode, F sharp 0. So if we start the pattern, I mean it's already by default in slap, but we're going to switch to fingerstyle. So what I'll do is, slap mode is A sharp 0. So I'll put in a note below the pattern, below the octave range of the bass. A sharp 0, where are we? A sharp 0. Now that note will ensure that at the beginning of the pattern, bar one hit, it will always switch to slap style. A little bit more muting there. But let's say this little lick here, I want to play fingerstyle. So what I do is I just copy that note across there to the start of this cluster of notes, extend it out to cover all those notes, and then set this to the right note for finger mode, which is F sharp 0. So where are we? F sharp 0. These 5 little notes there will be played fingerstyle, and then if I put this note, a copy of it after that, here at the end of that pattern, or at the start of this one, it will return to slap style. So here we go. Yeah, absolutely fantastic. You can switch between fingerstyle and slap style within a pattern. Or you can switch between, you're more likely to go between finger and slap style, or you can switch between finger and pick style. Pick maybe for a hard chorus bit, back to the fingering for a more gentle breakdown or verse area or whatever. But you've got that option to do all that stuff. And there's other control notes. So let me take that out. So we'll stick with slap. And what other control notes have we got? Harmonics, the control note by default. These can be changed. As I said, you can drag and change those, you know, up, down. F0 for harmonics. So let's make these 5 little notes there. Do harmonics. F0. There. Now you can imagine the possibilities you can do by making little clusters of notes, or just individual notes, play harmonics only. I got this little chord at the end here because by default this thing is in mono mode. So where the 2 notes overlap here, it's climbing from that note to that note, doing a legato, but also I'm doing a pitch bend there as well to rise up to the little lick there. Here I'm using controllers to set it to chord mode. See chord mode here, controller number 2, which is breath. So if I just cycle around my controllers, there you can see chord mode switching on and then back off again, just so those 2 notes will play with the chord. And in the middle of them, I'm doing a little pitch bend, up and down. But let's make these 2 notes play harmonics. So bring this across, and there we go. These 2 notes will now play a harmonic. Etc. Right? So you've got that ability to do harmonics. What else have we got? There's a forced pull-off control note here. If you want to force the bass to do a pull-off on any particular note. And then you've got these for forcing a particular string to be played. You can adjust the pluck position using a controller within the pattern, vary it all the time. That's if you're using the finger or pick style, where you can adjust the pluck position between neck and bridge, right? Vibrato you can do, set to the basic CC1. There's a hammer on, pull off, key switch, C0. You've got legato slide, CC65, portmanteau. Ghost mode, A sharp 1. Let's bring that in over here again. A sharp 1. Oh, where are we? A sharp minus 1. A sharp minus 1. Ghost mode. Okay, so it's right down there above this cluster of notes. Let's hear that. Which gives you those wonderful little clicks that often appear in little transitions between notes. Now, if you're careful about how you program the pattern, these little ghost note clicks can be put in wherever you want. Little thumps, little bumps, things like that, to all go to add that extra realism, right? Fantastic stuff. So I could have it not do that on the very last note and have it just do it on those 3 notes in the middle. So I get pull off, click, click, bump, 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 and a pull off at the end. Let's try it like that. Is that right? Yeah, let's hear that. You see, get the idea of the kind of things you can do. Let's just have it doing that little subtle click into that note. Yeah, and that makes the pattern even better actually. Something like that. Brilliant, yeah. Just has that extra little realism. A -1 will make a note ring out, because there was one thing I didn't show you. Where was it? In the playing style. We've got these extra things here which I haven't looked at yet. Now, let ring, if we bring that on, well, you'll hear it, all notes ring. Right? So that can be brought in on a per note basis using the default control note A -1. But again, these notes, these key switch notes can be switched to any that you like. Okay, but obviously they have to be below or above the playing area of the bass, its range, which is the white keys here. Okay. The grayed out keys are extra range that can be brought in, that will come in with 6-string or 5-string. Right? Some or all of this will be used. So yeah, you've got fantastic ability to switch styles between fingering, funk, slapping, fingering and slapping, and even pick playing if you want, although in real life that'd be unlikely to happen. And all these little extras you can put into to work the pattern and make it even more realistic. Right? Oh, so look, let me go back and look at these things we haven't looked at yet. Let ring, we know that, it just makes the strings ring. We got this open string option here. Now, I've got the fingering mode set to easy at the moment. Now that is showing this orange area of the keyboard and everything above and below black. This shows you where the bass is playing given the notes you've put in the pattern. Now my bottom note is an A. Right? And when I hit that note, it's being fretted on the 5th fret of the E string, not the open A. That's because open strings is turned off. We're in easy mode, which means that the player, based on the notes you're using, will try to play notes keeping the hand in its position that's easiest, you know. So it's playing the A note at the start, fretting the E string on the 5th fret, and it plays the octave 2 frets up and 2 strings up there on the D string. Boom, da, da, right? So boom, dab, and then back on the D string, dab to there. So it tries to keep, you know, easy style as the hand would play around the same area where the hand is resting and jump forward a little bit or back a little bit where required to hit certain notes. Or you can put it to nearest, and then it just tries to keep the hand position the same. So for the high bits, it'll slide right up and play the high bits right up here, but keep that hand position rather than try to go up the strings. Which obviously makes a huge difference to that upper lick, because it's been played up an octave up here rather than just going up the strings. Or you can have first position, where it tries to play everything as much as possible down in the first position. Okay, so if I put it on nearest, so it plays that higher octave lick, that upper lick up here on the upper strings rather than going up to higher strings. You can then got open strings. Now if that is on, it will now, instead of playing the opening the opening A note in my pattern, instead of playing it by fretting the 5th fret on the bottom E string, it will now play an open A. And then when it goes up to the octave, it'll, well, you watch, it'll play the open notes instead of fretted notes. You hear that bong, and you see the nut. A little orange block appears over it because that's the open string being sounded. Now the open string, of course, playing A, has a completely different sound to the E string fretting an A on the 5th fret. The E string fretting an A on the 5th fret is fatter and warmer and bigger, It's just a bigger, fatter sound, more rounded than the open A string. Turn that off and then it'll fret. That is genius, you know. Like I've got the option of easy, it'll just play it all around here, drop back or go up if it needs to, but the hand is kind of playing around here. So it does the slide up and comes back to this area to do the dick dick dick. Or I go for nearest and it'll just keep the hand in that same shape and slide it up to do the top lick, but on lower strings. Completely different sound. So you've got these wonderful options to do all that, open strings or fretted strings, how the playing on the fretboard is going to work, and this let ring thing. And actually a lot, really. This thing is absolutely phenomenal. It really is amazing. I love this bass instrument to pieces. Now, what did I have? Oh yeah, I've got that. This note here doing the ghost mode. Just for those two little notes there. That one. That one. Which adds the extra realism. Now let's put it back to easy so it plays the higher slap on the two upper strings and we hear this more. Yeah, brilliant stuff. This instrument is absolutely phenomenal. As I said, it's a massive, massive step up from the basic sample bass sets that you get included in sequencers like Cubase or Logic. Yes, of course there are other bass instruments out there and sample sets, etc. that you can get. But this complete all-in-one, the ability to choose so many choices of bass, adjust the pickups, change the pickups, whether active, passive, the style of playing, all these modifications you can make to the type of strings, the action, whether you've got an extra string, drop tuning, etc. The electronics, active, passive, all these different things, the amp, effects, etc. It's just, and the wonderful controllability. It's just absolutely bloody phenomenal, this thing. I can't believe they've managed to do this. Yeah, there it is. Well, you know, look, I mean, just I could show you. Here's the thumb bass in Logic, included with Logic playing the same pattern. You know, I mean, come on. I mean, it doesn't matter which of those bass presets you choose. None of them are going to give you this. No way. This is just supremely customizable and very, very realistic. So, if you're doing any kind of music that requires real bass simulation, and I'm not going to show you other styles. There are lots and lots and lots of videos out there from independent people and from IK Multimedia themselves showing this instrument being played from a master keyboard, different styles, etc. Plenty of stuff out there for you to watch. Lots of demos, audio demos on the IK Multimedia video channel, YouTube channel, on their website, etc. So, you know, I'll leave it at that. But the variety you can do, barnstorming, massive, distorted basses for rock styles, finger styles, jazzy stuff, funk, whatever you like. And there's tons of presets as well. Okay, you've got all these finger presets, which loads up the bass in a particular configuration, a particular bass with a particular configuration, a particular amp and pedal setup. There's more pick presets, slap presets, and there's these extreme ones, and then you can just go back and choose default and then choose a bass and start from scratch yourself. And of course you can save your own presets. Genius, absolute genius stuff this. I'm sold, absolutely sold on it. Now it's not cheap, it's €300, but my god, it's absolutely worth it to be able to have that much versatility to get, you know, this is damn realistic bass. Really realistic. And I play slap bass, you know. For those of you who don't follow my channel, get an old bass out here. You know, I have practice, but you know. You know, I'm always going to get out my bass to do some slap because I'm used to playing it. I can come up with ideas like that. But my God, this is brilliant, absolutely fantastic. Okay, so there it is, the Modo Bass modelled bass instrument from IK Multimedia. Go to the website, get the demo. You get a long trial period where you can really get into using it. You don't get this thing of a burst of noise happening every 10 seconds or something like that, as far as I know. All the demos I've tried of their stuff, you get a proper full demo period. Yeah, check it out. The Modo Bass from IK Multimedia. Absolutely top of the pops, this one, I tell you. 10 out of 10.